Kenya Registered Community Health Nursing Final Qualifying Examination Revision on Anatomy and Physiology of the Human Heart. Heart wall muscles and tissue. Endocardium, the thin innermost layer lining the heart's chambers and valves to provide a smooth surface for blood flow. This is the endocardium. Myocardium, the thick muscular middle layer responsible for the heart's pumping action. This is the myocardium muscle of the heart. The epicardium, which consists of a thin serous layer that forms the visceral and parietal pericardium. This is the parietal layer of the serous pericardium, and this is the visceral layer of the serous pericardium, which secretes serous lubricating fluid to reduce friction and protect the heart during each heartbeat, while the fibrous pericardium is a tough outer layer that anchors the heart, prevents overfilling, and protects the heart from injury. Cardiac conduction tissue cells. These include the synovial node, the Bachmann's bundle, which supplies the left atrium of the heart muscles, atrioventricular node, the bundle of His, the right branch of the bundle of His, and the left bundle of His, and then the bundle of His is further subdivided into smaller branches called the Purkinje fibers. The conduction system is involuntary, which means it is controlled through autonomic nervous system, driven by the heart pacemaker, that is the synovial node. This is the pacemaker of the heart. The conduction system maintains a rhythmic contraction known as the systole and relaxation known as the diastole to pump blood throughout the body. At this moment, you should be able to understand and interpret the reading of blood pressure, what systolic and diastolic blood pressure means, why the systolic is higher always than the diastolic. It is because during a contraction, it is systolic pressure which is peaked, and the diastolic pressure is the pressure which is peaked during relaxation of the heart muscles. The electrical impulse spreads from sinus node throughout left and the right atrium of the heart. The same way the electrical impulse spreads from bundle branches, these are the bundle branches, throughout the left and the right ventricles. Cardiac muscle structure. Cardiac muscles are made up of cardiac cells known as cardiomyocytes, which have many mitochondria to provide energy for continuous contractions. The cells join at spatial gap junctions called the intercalated discs that allow electrical signals or impulses in the form of ions to pass quickly, enabling coordinated contractions. Cardiac cells are anchored in place by tiny filaments known as desmosomes, which provide strong cell-to-cell adhesion, crucial for resisting the force of the heartbeat. Microscopic structure of the cardiac muscles. This is the cardiac muscle of the heart. This is the heart. We have the capillaries. We have the intercalated discs. This is how they look like. The gap junction, the cardiac muscle fiber, the nucleus, the striated muscle of the heart to make the heart muscles stronger so that it can pump, it can have the force to pump blood into all the parts of the body. There is also desmosome, which keeps the cardiomyocytes in position. Structures and function of the human heart. What are the structures and the functions of the human heart? The structures are nothing else than just what you are seeing here. Superior vena cava, which allows blood from the upper part of the body into the right atrium. And of course, this is deoxygenated blood. Inferior vena cava, which allows deoxygenated blood from the lower parts of the body into the right atrium. Then we have the tricuspid valve, which allows blood from the right atrium into the right ventricle by opening. And then again it closes to prevent the backflow of blood from the right ventricle into the right atrium, which is abnormal. Then we have the right ventricle, which receives deoxygenated blood from the right atrium and also contracts to push this deoxygenated blood from the right atrium through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery so that it can be taken to the lungs. That is the left and the right lungs for oxygenation and for cleaning, that is releasing of carbon dioxide. The pulmonary artery, already I've mentioned its function, channeling the blood, deoxygenated blood, into the lungs for oxygenation. Then we have the pulmonary vein at both sides from the lungs, channeling the oxygenated and cleaned blood from the lungs into the left atrium. From the left atrium, this blood is pumped into the left ventricle through the mitral valve. The mitral valve opens, allowing blood in, and then closes to prevent backflow of blood. Then the left ventricle, the most strongest chamber of the heart, pumps blood during a contraction into the aorta through the aortic valve. The aortic valve opens to allow blood out, and then after that it closes to prevent the backflow of blood. And this deoxygenated blood then is channeled to the upper part of the body and then to the lower part of the body. There is pericardium, which is the outer layer of the cardiac muscle, which protects the heart. The main function of the human heart is to pump blood throughout the body to deliver oxygen and nutrients to every cell and also carry away waste products, mainly carbon dioxide. Have you ever wondered how long can the body cells survive without oxygen, especially the brain? The answer is simple. Different tissues tolerate oxygen loss for very different lengths of time. the brain is the most sensitive. 10 seconds of deprivation causes loss of consciousness. Widespread brain injury is very likely after 10 minutes deprivation of oxygen. Pulmonary circulation. This circuit carries deoxygenated blood from the right side of the heart to the lungs to pick oxygen and release carbon dioxide, then returns oxygenated blood to the left side of the heart. And that is all about the pulmonary circulation. It is also known as the pulmonary circuit. The deoxygenated blood comes in from the upper part of the body, from the lower part of the body, through the inferior, upper, through the superior vena cava, to the right atrium, through the tricuspid valve, to the right ventricle, then through the pulmonary valve, to the pulmonary artery, channeled to the lungs for oxygenation. After that, the oxygenated blood enters into the left atrium through the pulmonary veins. And that is the end of the pulmonary circulation. Systemic circulation. It delivers oxygenated blood from the left side of the heart to all body tissues and brings deoxygenated blood back to the right side of the heart. And this is how it looks like. From the heart here to all other parts of the body, that is the upper part of the body, and this is oxygenated blood, and the lower part of the body. Between the capillaries, there is exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Deoxygenated blood passes into the veins, several veins, which drains into the inferior vena cava, which then channels the deoxygenated blood into the right atrium from the lower part of the body, and then from the upper part of the body, which is taken into the right ventricle, then pumped into the pulmonary artery for oxygenation. And that one makes systemic circulation of blood. Let us look at the blood flow in the heart. How does blood flow within the heart? We can start off from the deoxygenated blood. First, the one which flows into the heart from the upper part of the body through the superior vena cava into the right atrium. The deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body through the inferior vena cava into the right atrium, through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. Then the right ventricle, they contract, forces this deoxygenated blood through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery to the lungs for oxygenation. After oxygenation and release of carbon dioxide, this oxygenated blood comes back through the pulmonary vein from both sides of the lungs into the left atrium of the heart. Then this blood is pumped into the left ventricle through the mitral valve. During a contraction again of the cardiac muscles, this blood is forced into the aorta through the aortic valve to all other parts of the body, the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body. Check on this blood circulation and then keep an eye out for the anatomy and physiology of the blood vessels video. Thank you.